Claire Morgan sat in the quiet corner of the library, the soft hum of the overhead lights and the scent of aged paper filling the air as she meticulously organized rare, fragile books. It was a place of refuge for her, far from the noise of the outside world. Her worn cardigan and sensible shoes seemed almost out of place amidst the treasures she preserved, but Claire found comfort in the simplicity of her role. The door to the library opened, and Claire's older brother, Thomas, strode in with an air of superiority. Dressed in an expensive suit, his polished shoes echoed as he approached her desk. He glanced at the books with a sneer before turning to Claire. "Still here?" he mocked, his voice dripping with disdain. "You do realize you're wasting your life, right? This isn't where your potential lies?" Claire met his gaze, calm and unwavering. She smiled, knowing that Thomas had no idea who she truly was or the life she led when the library doors closed behind her. Thomas leaned against the edge of Claire's desk, arms crossed, his expensive cologne mixing with the scent of old books. He looked at her, his expression half pitying, half condescending. "You know, Claire," he began, his tone deliberately casual. "You could do so much more than this. Why settle for a dusty old library when you could be doing something that actually matters?" Claire glanced up from her work, maintaining a calm demeanor even as a pang of frustration flickered inside her. "I like my work here," she said quietly, trying to dismiss his words with the simplicity of the statement. Thomas chuckled, shaking his head. "A real job could do wonders for you. Maybe even something in my world. A corporate librarian, managing information for my growing empire. You could finally be useful instead of, well, this." The insult stung, but Claire kept her face neutral. Thomas had always been the golden child, the one the family adored, the one who thrived in their elite social circles, while she was the odd one out, tucked away in the shadows of the library. Thomas's eyes gleamed with pride. "Anyway," he continued, "I've made huge strides. I'll be announcing something big at the anniversary party next week. You won't want to miss it." Claire's insides twisted. She knew Thomas wouldn't understand the secret life she led, one that would never fit into his world. But how long could she keep this hidden from the rest of the family? How long could she endure their scorn, knowing that she had outgrown them in ways they'd never even consider? The party would come, but so would the tension. She could feel it, building. After Thomas left, Claire let out a quiet sigh of relief, her fingers gently rubbing her temple. She glanced around the library, her haven of silence, before heading to her private office tucked behind the bookshelves. To the casual observer, it appeared just like any other librarian's workspace, modest, orderly, with a well-worn desk piled with papers. But Claire knew the truth. As soon as she closed the door, the ordinary facade dissolved. She sat at her desk and powered up the computer, entering a series of secure codes that only she had access to. The screen flickered momentarily, and then a whole new world appeared. Contracts, financial reports, and high-stakes documents from around the globe filled the monitor. Claire's fingers danced across the keyboard with practiced ease, reviewing the latest international deals for Morgan Global Partners, the private equity firm she had built from the ground up. No one, least of all Thomas or her family, had any idea that beneath her librarian's calm exterior, she was the powerful CEO of a growing financial empire. As Claire sifted through the contracts, managing multi-million-dollar acquisitions and investments, her mind shifted between time zones. The calls, the emails, the negotiations, it was all part of the quiet life she'd crafted. But the secrecy was becoming harder to maintain. How long could she keep up the charade? How long could she hide the empire she'd built from her family, especially from Thomas, who would never understand the life she truly led? The clock was ticking. Claire sat at her desk in the library, her fingers gently brushing the edge of an old, leather-bound book. The pages felt like a bridge to another time, each one holding a piece of the world's history. She'd always felt a deep connection to books, not just as objects, but as vessels of knowledge and stories, essential to society's understanding of itself. She loved the quiet hum of the library, the subtle sound of pages turning, and the way the light filtered through the windows, casting a soft glow over the rows of books. Her librarian job wasn't just a cover, it was her passion, her refuge. There was something deeply fulfilling about preserving these books, about making sure that every piece of information, every bit of knowledge, was accessible to those who sought it. Helping patrons find what they needed, guiding them through the maze of shelves, brought her a quiet joy. Here, in the calm of the library, she felt like she was making a real difference in the world, even if it was in a small, unassuming way. Despite the powerful career she had built behind closed doors, Claire found her greatest satisfaction in this humble job. It wasn't about the money, the status, or the accolades. It was about the preservation of knowledge and the quiet contribution she made to society. But as the pressure from her family to perform in their world of high-stakes business grew, she couldn't help but wonder, how much longer could she live in two separate worlds? And which one would ultimately define her? Claire sat in the salon chair, the gentle hum of hairdryers and the soft chatter of customers filling the air. She watched her reflection as Maria, her trusted stylist and confidant for years, worked on her hair. It was a ritual they both knew well, the transformation that would bridge the gap between her quiet life at the library and the world her family expected her to inhabit. Today was no different, except for the undercurrent of tension that pulsed beneath her calm exterior. "So, big night tomorrow," Maria remarked, her voice low as she expertly worked through Claire's hair. "I heard Thomas has some big announcement at the anniversary dinner. Guess he's going to try to steal the spotlight, huh?" Claire's fingers twitched at the mention of Thomas. "Yes, I've heard," she replied quietly, her eyes meeting her reflection in the mirror. "But it won't matter." Her voice was barely above a whisper, but there was a steel edge to it. "Tomorrow, everything will change. His news will be just another footnote." Maria gave her a knowing smile, but there was a trace of concern in her eyes. She knew Claire's secret, the empire Claire had built, and the risks that came with revealing it. But Claire wasn't concerned with what anyone else thought. Tomorrow, her family would finally see her for who she truly was. As the last strand of hair fell into place, Claire looked at her reflection. The librarian's glasses replaced with sleek designer frames, the simple cardigan swapped for a fitted, elegant dress. Tomorrow, the world would see her power, but as the tension built inside her, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that once her two worlds collided, there would be no turning back. Claire stood before the full-length mirror, her fingers smoothing the delicate fabric of the Valentino dress she'd chosen for the family anniversary dinner. The dress was perfect, elegant, understated, and just the right balance of sophistication and modesty. It wasn't too extravagant, not too flashy, but it spoke of wealth and taste, exactly what her family would expect from their bookish daughter. She adjusted the neckline, ensuring everything was just so, before glancing at herself once more. The woman staring back at her was the one her family knew, a well-mannered, reserved librarian, carefully curated to fit the role they had assigned her years ago. She had crafted this persona over the years, maintaining the illusion of humility and modesty while keeping the true depth of her life hidden beneath the surface. Yet, as she stood there, something inside her stirred. She was about to re-enter a world she had carefully left behind, the world of high society dinners, polished faces, and unspoken expectations. Claire's heart beat just a little faster, and for a moment, the woman in the mirror felt like a stranger. The external transformation was complete, but inside, Claire was still the powerful CEO of Morgan Global Partners, with a vast empire to protect. Would her family see through the mask? Or would they be blinded by the illusion she'd carefully constructed? The tension in her chest tightened as she took one final breath, preparing to face the evening ahead. The sprawling estate loomed in the distance as Claire parked her modest car at the edge of the manicured driveway, careful not to draw attention. As she walked toward the entrance, the grandeur of the evening overwhelmed her, a sea of champagne flutes, gold chandeliers, and crisp white suits blended with the soft murmur of polite conversation. The family's anniversary party was in full swing, a celebration of old money and even older traditions. Inside, Claire's family greeted her with the indifferent politeness she had come to expect. Her mother, dressed in a glittering gown, examined Claire with a slow, appraising look before offering a stiff smile. "You look presentable tonight, Claire," she remarked, her voice flat but not unkind. Claire didn't bother to respond, her smile practiced and controlled. The family continued to gossip around her, casual chatter about business deals and socialites. The questions started to come, predictable and unremarkable. "So, how's the library going?" her aunt asked, as though that were the sum of her life's work. Claire nodded, offering the standard response she had perfected over the years. "It's going well, busy but fulfilling," she said, hiding the disquiet that churned inside her. She had become adept at masking her true self, slipping into the role of the quiet, modest daughter. Inside, though, Claire's mind was elsewhere. She controlled a global financial empire, and the world she now found herself navigating felt like a performance, one she would soon shatter. The tension built with every passing moment. The time was drawing near, and when she finally revealed the truth, everything would change. The room fell silent as Thomas stood, his smirk widening as he adjusted the cufflinks of his perfectly tailored suit. He had waited for this moment all evening. Standing at the center of the room, the spotlight was finally his. "I'm pleased to announce," Thomas began, his voice smooth and confident, "that Nakamura Tech, one of the leading tech firms in the world, has officially joined the Morgan portfolio. Our acquisition has secured our position as industry leaders in innovation." He paused for dramatic effect, basking in the admiration that followed. The room erupted into applause, the sound ringing in Claire's ears like a hollow echo. Her family, entranced by the announcement, showered Thomas with praise, congratulating him on his incredible foresight and brilliant business acumen. Claire sat back, her hands folded neatly in her lap, her smile unwavering. Thomas's victory, in this room at least, was complete. But she knew what he didn't. Morgan Global Partners had already secured Nakamura Tech months ago, and Claire's firm was the one truly driving the deal. What Thomas celebrated now was little more than a formality, a mere announcement of something Claire had orchestrated from the shadows. She held her composure as Thomas relished in the applause, the tension inside her growing. He would never know that it was her name, not his, that had truly sealed the deal. And soon, the truth would come to light. But for now, she played the part of the dutiful, quiet daughter, listening to the hollow praise while preparing for the bigger reveal to come. Claire excused herself from the dinner table, her heart beating faster with each step as she made her way toward a private area of the estate. The clinking of glasses and hum of conversation faded behind her as she found a quiet corner. She took a deep breath before pulling out her phone, secure and encrypted, unlocking it with a practiced swipe. Her fingers hovered over the screen as she waited for the confirmation. The email popped up, and Claire's gaze quickly skimmed the details. Nakamura Tech acquisition complete. Deal officially closed. Press release scheduled for tomorrow morning. She smiled, a small, quiet curve of satisfaction that only she could understand. It was done. Morgan Global Partners had not just acquired Nakamura Tech, they had secured the future of a multi-billion-dollar industry. The world would wake up tomorrow to a headline that would shift the balance of power. Claire Morgan, CEO of Morgan Global Partners, announces groundbreaking acquisition of Nakamura Tech. No one would be talking about Thomas's little victory anymore. His announcement, made with such pomp and circumstance, would be overshadowed by the true mastermind behind the deal. Her. Claire took a moment to steady herself, feeling the weight of the secret she had carried for so long. Her family, her brother, would finally understand what she had been quietly building all these years. The world they had created for her, the world of libraries and polite small talk, would shatter in an instant. She stood up, feeling the shift in the air. Tomorrow, they would see who she really was. Tomorrow, her empire would rise from the shadows and her family would have no choice but to confront the truth. The librarian had outpaced their golden sun. The next morning, Claire sat quietly in her office, the weight of the previous evening's events settling in as the news broke. The headline flashed across every major outlet. Claire Morgan's Morgan Global Partners seals multi-billion-dollar acquisition of Nakamura Tech, shocking the business world. The press buzzed with excitement, commentators eager to discuss the unprecedented move and the rise of the mysterious CEO who had long operated under the radar. From her desk, Claire allowed herself a small, knowing smile as she glanced at her phone. Text messages, emails, and social media notifications flooded in. She had always been the quiet one, the bookish daughter, but the world now saw her for what she truly was. The power behind the deal, the power behind the press. Back at the family estate, the shockwaves were immediate. Claire's phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Maria. "Your parents are freaking out. Thomas looks like he's about to implode." Claire imagined it perfectly. Thomas, stunned into silence, trying to wrap his mind around the fact that the empire he thought was his had already been claimed by his younger sister. His smug pride was no longer the center of attention. And her parents? They had always dismissed her, barely acknowledging her ambitions, assuming her quiet nature made her insignificant. Now, they had to reckon with the reality of their daughter's success and the glaring truth that they had completely underestimated her. Claire took a deep breath. She controlled the narrative now. She was no longer the disappointment, the overlooked librarian. She was a force to be reckoned with, and the world, including her family, would have to adjust to this new reality. The playing field had changed. As the world around her shifted, Claire couldn't help but wonder, what happens next?